So welcome back to the second part of rheumatoid arthritis lecture. Second part, we have dedicated second part for the investigations and monitoring of rheumatoid arthritis patient. Along with that, I like to discuss few things like two other things like deformities that take place in the rheumatoid arthritis and extra-articular manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis. Though these are not exclusive actually, because the extra-articular manifestations is so many that not everything can be discussed. So I will just mention the deformities. The deformities are ulnar deviation of the fingers. We might add some photos to this discussion. Ulnar deviations, swan neck deformities, buttonhole or buttonear deformities, Z deformities of the thumb, triggering of fingers, cock-up-toe deformities, valgus deformities of calcaneum, and popliteal or Baker's cyst. So these are the deformities that can happen in rheumatoid arthritis. And and if we consider, there are many other extra-articular manifestations in rheumatoid arthritis. First of all, there are might be some systemic manifestations. Like anorexia, nausea, weight loss, fatigue, osteoporosis, muscle wasting, and there are many other things, even fever. So these are the systemic features which might happen in rheumatoid arthritis along with joint manifestations. So what are the extra-articular features? Extra-articular features actually manifested throughout the body. Almost all organ systems can be involved. Like as I said, the systemic features with musculoskeletal features like muscle wasting, tenosynovitis, bursitis, osteoporosis, hematological anemia, thrombocytosis, eosinophilia, lymphatic system Feltis syndrome, splenomegaly, sinuses, nodule, sinuses, fistula, ocular manifestation episcleritis, scleritis, scleromalacia, keratoconjunctivitis, sicca. In fact, in case of ocular manifestations, keratoconjunctivitis, sicca, there is a simple terms for this, like dry eye, which is known as keratoconjunctivitis sicca. There is an important differentiating point in case of rheumatoid arthritis and spondyloarthritis. In spondyloarthritis, the ocular manifestations is usually uveitis. On the other hand, for rheumatoid arthritis, the ocular manifestation is usually episcleritis, scleritis, scleromalacia, keratoconjunctivitis sicca. So other extra-articular manifestations like vasculitis, and then cardiac manifestations like pericarditis, myocarditis, endocarditis, conductivity failure, pulmonary pleural effusion, fibrosing alveolitis, neurological. For neurological complications, there are again some broad terms like cord compression, we can call it entrapment neuropathy. There might be symmetrical polyneuropathy, might be mononeuritis multiplex, and finally amyloidosis. So the idea I want to give you that the extra-articular manifestations of rheumatoid arthritis might affect almost any organ system. It might be cardiac, respiratory, neurological, vasculitis, vascular, eye, other blood components. So it can affect almost any organ systems in the body. So we have to, while evaluating a patient of rheumatoid arthritis, first we have to diagnose, then while evaluating, we have to keep all those things in our understanding that other organ system might get involved, and that might be quite life threatening. So I am not going in details of the extra-articular manifestations. I for this lecture, I like to mainly focus on what are the investigations and monitoring of the patients. First of all, we have to assess the disease activity of the patients. To assess the disease activity, there are many tools like CDAI, SDAI, DAS28. These are the tools, and as according to our book, we should follow the DAS28. DAS28. How can we calculate the DAS28? We have to count the swollen joint. We have to count the tender joint. There are some specific joints that has to be counted. Uh, uh, from the arm, there are around 26 joints, upper limb. From the lower limb, only 2 joints, only knee is counted. So I am not mentioning all the joints. We have to count the swollen joints, we have to count the tender joints, we have to take erythrocyte sedimentation rate, and what is the patient's global health assessment, which is counted in 1 to 100 scale. So what are the parameters here? We have to count the swollen joints, the number of joints, those are swollen. We have to count the tender joints, and patient's global assessment of his health, that how he or she is feeling. The scale is from 1 to 100. If he or she is feeling good, it will be 1. If patient is feeling bad, the number will go up. So, and measures the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, ESR should be taken, and then we have to give these data to a calculator, and the number results of DAS28 will be found. And what is the interpretation of DAS28? If this is more than 5.1, then high disease activity. If 2.6 to 5.1, moderate disease activity, and less than 2.6 is patient is in remission. Why this is important? This is important because we have to treat the patient according to the severity of the patient. The patient, all the patients diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis does not need all the management of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, how can we properly manage the patient? The idea is that we have to classify the patient, whether the disease is highly active, moderately active, or patient is in remission. Or so what are the cutoff values here are more than 5.1 high activity, 2.6 to 5.1 moderate activity, and less than 2.6 patient is in remission. Now, how will we investigate the patient? I am making it pretty simple. First of all, we have to diagnose the patient. For the diagnosis, we don't need much investigations. We have to, if we see the classification criteria, we only have to do rheumatoid factor, intracyclic cytolinated peptide antibody, these 2 serological tests, and inflammatory markers ESR and CRP. For the diagnosis of the patient, we have to do only 2 to 3 investigations: rheumatoid factor, intracyclic cytolinated peptide antibody, ESR and CRP. For diagnosis, no further investigations is required. Then, how to monitor the patient? For the monitoring of the patient, we have to do around 3 to 4 investigations, like CBC with ESR, CRP, urine routine examination, serum creatinine, and ALT. So these are the routine investigations, and if we want to see the damage, then we might have to do some X-rays of the affected areas. So, and to assess the treatment response, not only the investigations, we have to do the DAS28 scoring. So, actually investigations is not that much difficult, and for assessment of the patient, we have to do DAS28. So, what is the core idea of here? We have to do some investigations for diagnosis. rheumatoid factor, anti-cyclic cyclolinated peptide, ESR, CRP. That's all. For monitoring of the patient, maybe drug side effect or the disease activity, whatever, we have to do few investigations like CBC, ESR, urinary, rheumatoid factor, anti-CCP antibody. And maybe we have to do some focused investigations like X-ray, MRI, maybe a nerve conduction study. Those are different things. But at a glance, this is the thing. And to assess the disease severity, we have to do the DAS28. That is a monitoring tool for the assessment of rheumatoid arthritis. So for investigations and monitoring, this is the part 2 of rheumatoid arthritis, and thank you all.